Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another installment of our weekly video from tZERO. I'm Alan Konevsky. I'm the Chief Executive Officer at tZERO. I'm really delighted to be here. I'm grateful to our board, to our investors, to our stakeholder ecosystem for giving me the opportunity to pilot tZERO during this next phase of its development. I'm thrilled to partner with a broad cross-section of our community and to drive value. I'm grateful to a range of stakeholders behind tZERO, including our longstanding tZEROP investors, whose voices, whose wisdom, whose perspectives we're very much attuned to. I want to share a few words about strategy and vision. As you'll appreciate, we are formulating specific plans and priorities and proposals, and we'll be talking about them as the next days and weeks unfold. I think for the time being, it's worthwhile to share a few observations on who we are and where I see us going. tZERO is fundamentally a digital asset innovation company. That is our DNA. That is our mission. We have been in this space longer than most other participants in the securities industry, certainly, and our path is clear. We will commit to re-articulating that vision and re-articulating our passion and commitment to digital innovation in financial markets. We have the heritage, we have the infrastructure, we have the receptivity for a range of asset types and products that can exist in our tokenized environment. We have a vision for broad geographic coverage. We are very mindful of opportunities in the private markets that provide near-term actionable paths for product development, revenue, and adoption. But we're also mindful about our position, DNA, and perspective on blockchain innovation for public securities markets and the role that distributed ledger technology, and in particular smart contract automation, can bring to public securities markets, public equities markets in particular, and to address some of the inefficiencies, some of the behaviors that have attracted attention over the years in the public equities markets. And I look forward to continuing that dialogue that we were so vocal about. And we will not lose sight of it again. We will not lose sight of the need to grow markets holistically. That doesn't only mean assets, it also means demand. We've been very fortunate and very focused on creating regulated infrastructure in the United States that is robust, compliant, broker-dealer-led, from capital raising to trading to custody. What we're going to commit ourselves to is diving deeper into liquidity and supply. As we think about a range of asset types, we'll also think about interoperability among different asset types. Think private tokenized securities, particularly in the real-world asset space, and others, including late-stage private companies, but also think about other assets that are digital or will become digital, such as crypto, such as predictive markets, such as public market products, including public equities, such as other asset types. And as we look to the world that is going to become natively interoperable in the future because of migration towards distributed ledger technology, smart contract automation, and AI, in the interim, we'll work to create user experiences that permit the digitally native crowd, but the broader cross-section of retail and institutional public to operate with a range of assets in this evolving tokenized environment and user experience. As we think about our global ambitions, we're going to be looking at really a world where blockchain technology can tear down borders. Financial services historically has been fragmented and balkanized from a regulatory perspective, from an operational perspective. It's our expectation that technology will continue to break down those borders more so than similar initiatives have been successful in the past. And we will look to have a global footprint that extends beyond the United States. In the game of rabbits and whales, our focus is going to be on the latter. While we are very focused on growing our community, we're also focused on becoming connective institutional tissue among large market participants. Think of our Link joint venture that provides legal security-based stablecoin alternative that can provide yield to users in a real-time settlement environment. So if you think about our vision, you can't complete that story without talking about speed. Speed is fundamental to our industry. It is going to be fundamental to us at tZERO. Speed and results. So if you line this up, speed, results, innovation, transparency, and I'll talk about more about that in a second, and community. Our strategic priorities that we are going to derive from this analysis are going to look at a couple of paths. First and foremost on that are partnerships across the ecosystem in the US and globally, across the supply side of our marketplace, across the demand and liquidity side of our marketplace, which is absolutely critical. You cannot build supply without building demand. And again, in the US and outside of the United States. It's probably true for most industries, but doubly so for digital asset and financial services. You cannot do it alone. Commit or recommit ourselves to establishing a broad range of partnerships across industries, across niches, across asset types, and across geographies. And there's going to be a lot more communication on that. Transparency externally with our stakeholders, transparency about our paths, our strategy, our wins, our missteps, and our vision. And you'll hear more from us in the coming days and weeks and months and years, covering our vision, covering our roadmap, but also getting to know our organization better and our organization's place in this industry. Third strategic priority is going to begin growing supply and demand. The two travel together. The partnerships are going to create this virtuous synergy, this flywheel that is going to contribute to both, but we'll also pursue opportunities that are organically where appropriate, but with a level of intense focus and conscious, deliberate choices about what we do and what we don't do. And again, things that don't track back to our vision and our strategy are not going to be a priority. Most companies in our industry, and I'll quote our chairman because it's a great line, die of indigestion, not necessarily starvation. And I think focus for us is going to be really important. User experience, particularly as we advance towards a multi-asset environment, is going to be critical. We hear a lot of conversations about a native app for our products and services, and we'll talk more about it. We hear a lot of conversations about a more crypto-friendly user experience, and we'll talk more about that in the near future. The other priority is engagement, public relations, public policy, presence and visibility. We're a young, growing industry. I think it's fine to walk the walk, and we'll do that, but you got to talk the talk. And you and the industry and other stakeholders, including policymakers, are going to see and hear a lot more from tZERO. We've seen a lot of helpful suggestions from our ecosystem. You saw the response of tZERO board to Marcus Lemonis at Bed Bath & Beyond and the ideas that were raised to tZERO from him and other wonderful folks at Bed Bath & Beyond. And our board and our management and other stakeholders are evaluating them thoroughly and positively, particularly with a view towards identifying which pathways are going to inure to accelerating our growth in the near term in this environment. And you'll hear more about that alongside with, of course, the ongoing conversation about the benefits that tZERO creates for our ecosystem, including as a critical business development tool for showcasing our tokenization and private markets footprint, but also as an important community, as I mentioned before, and how it fits place in the future of tZERO in a way that maximizes value for tZERO holders, for our critical investors, and for the company itself and its future. In terms of a couple of other things, I will talk about our IP. You've seen that come up in a range of conversations. tZERO has been remarkably successful, both on its own and, of course, with our former parent and Medici Ventures, in acquiring a portfolio of over 90 patents and over 25 patent applications. And as I mentioned, those patents are early. They cover a broad range of blockchain native products and topics. And we are looking at a range of ways of exploring them and utilizing them creatively, including in new products and services and conversations around new products and services, particularly in the public markets. The conversation about the layer 2 topic, the tZERO chain, it's really important. tZERO chain is a really interesting initiative. I think it helps to diversify our over-reliance on regulated market participants, particularly as public policy conversation. You've seen this come out of the SEC with Project Crypto, anticipates the future that we anticipated years ago, where technology becomes more self-regulating, and we have to have a role in that as well, not just as a friend and a partner to a range of layer 1 and layer 2 providers, which is important, and you'll hear more about, but with our own technology in that space. And we're going to be working to identify the right way to execute on that, and execute on that quickly and in a way that delivers results and ultimately creates value for us, including ability to identify, execute, and fund future growth opportunity. You'll get to know our team through transparency and accountability priorities that I identified before. tZERO itself is a community of wonderful talent, and it is my expectation that you'll get to know it better, including on calls like these. And a team that is going to be not just visible, but accountable to you for our priorities and for our execution. For the time being, I'm going to thank you for your time. I apologize if this went on longer than you expected. I think in the future, we're going to calibrate the right way for us to communicate, and to do so in a way that is effective, impactful, and provides you with the information and tools you need to assess our growth, to hold us accountable for moving in the right direction and move in the right direction fast. Thank you. Till next time.